Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game preview. Everton taking on Newcastle United at Goodison Park tomorrow evening. Arguably the biggest game of our season so far. Certainly a game in which we absolutely must win, and the result of this game really is intensified after Sunday's defeat to Wolverhampton Wanderers, of course. A game that we once again didn't bother turning up for, a game in which the players once again decided to throw the hat in after 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and a game in which we really needed to pick up 3 points in, or certainly come away with at least 8 points in, and coming away with absolutely nothing, as I said, just means that this game against Newcastle tomorrow evening is even more important than what it was anyway, and it was massively important anyway, wasn't it? Let's be honest, Newcastle are still a team that are in and around the relegation area. They are sitting 14th in the Premier League currently. They've played 28 games, 7 wins, 10 draws, 11 losses, 31 points, actually 9 points above Everton, so maybe they're just about out of it, but it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility for them to be dragged in over the next couple of weeks or so. And actually, the ironic thing about Newcastle was that until Eddie Howe come in, and obviously they had the investment, and they had obviously a what I would call successful January transfer window in regards to the players in which they brought in. I think they brought in effective Premier League experienced players. Well, majority of the players they brought in were effective Premier League players that were going to come in and make an impact. We spoke yesterday about Everton's January transfer window and about how we didn't really bring players in for the current situation that we're in. We brought players in for the future. We brought players in because of, what they could be in 2-3 years' time. Whereas Newcastle brought players in that in 2-3 years' time mightn't be worth the money that they paid for them, but now they are, as good as any to get them out of the situation that they're in, and that's all they needed to do. And, obviously they beat Everton 3-1 at St James's Park not so long ago, actually, and it's ironic, since that game, Newcastle went on a run of form where I don't think they dropped the points in 10, 11 games or something like that. Obviously, they lost to to Chelsea last time out, which was, their first defeat in a while as well, and it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from that. But Eddie Howe has done a superb job. I must admit I wasn't a massive fan of Eddie Howe's, especially when Everton were being linked with him in the summer, and on various occasions over the last couple of years. I wasn't a massive fan of his managerial decisions. I wasn't a massive fan of his time at Bournemouth, although he did do well with Bournemouth whilst he was there. But he's come into Newcastle and he's really solidified them, and he's gotten them out of this situation, and he's gotten them to a point that I would absolutely snatch your hand off for Everton to be in at the moment. I would snatch your hand off for Everton to be sat 14th in the Premier League, 9 points above the relegation zone, but instead we're not. We're level on points with Burnley, who are in the relegation zone, and we're currently sitting just one place above it. So, credit to Newcastle. I'm not a massive fan of Newcastle because of previous seasons and previous things, but you have to give credit where credit's due, and as I said, the credit I would give them was that they bought effectively in January, bringing in players like Chris Wood, who at the time, I remember sitting here saying, Chris Wood for 25-30 million pounds, is he really worth that? Could they have spent that money elsewhere? Could they have brought somebody in for cheaper who would have, had a bit more longevity? Kieran Trippier, is he really worth the money that they brought in? Matt Target, is he really good enough? But the reality is, as I said, with the exception of Bruno, it was a little bit of added quality on top of the other players that they brought in. They brought in effective, experienced Premier League players that were going to be able to come in and do a job, even if it's a very basic job, come in and do a job, and that's all they needed at that time. And that's what Everton needed at that time as well, but we didn't. We brought in 2 full-backs, one of whom isn't deemed to be ready or as ready as a 30-odd-year-old Seamus Coleman, who's absolutely abysmal. The other of whom is obviously coming in from a new country and got a lot of personal things going on. We brought in Dele Alli, who may or may not be able to reignite his career at Everton Football Club, but he certainly isn't going to do it in a relegation battle because he's not up for that. And we brought in a winger in El Ghazi who'll probably never wear an Everton shirt again. So, yeah, another successful transfer window for Everton. But, as I said, this is This is a vital game tomorrow. I can't even begin to. I don't even think I can put into words how important of a game of football this is. I really, really don't. I think it goes beyond words. And the title of this live stream is Nil SATIS NISI OPTIMUM, and that's because that is what I expect tomorrow. Nothing but the best is good enough. There was a rumour that we spoke about on yesterday's live stream going around that Everton were going to allow the players and staff to listen to videos and messages from fans ahead of this game. And I said it yesterday and I'll say it again today. I really do hope that those videos are, not overly vetted, and by that what I mean is obviously they will be vetted. They're not going to allow players to listen to videos from fans screaming and shouting about how dreadful we are and about how much of a disgrace they are. They're not going to let somebody like me sit there and talk to them, are they? Because the club will know that I won't pack any punches. But what I do hope they don't do, that's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Especially with my mouth. What I do hope they don't do is is just have generic sort of messages of good luck, go out there, do the best, work hard, we know you can do it messages, because there's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with fans that want to give those messages, but the players will hear that every single day. They'll see it on Twitter, they'll hear it on, the club put messages up on the screens before every home game when the players are training on the pitch of, can't wait to be a Goodison today, good luck to the boys, this, that and the other. I think we need more than that. I think these players need to hear heartfelt, emotional messages from fans, not necessarily messages that are angry or, frustration or that are not productive, but productive emotional messages where the players can sit down and go, fucking hell, this means this means the world to some of these Blues. Maybe there's videos of Blues that have been sent into the club where they're visibly in tears, or you can see the emotion on the face. You can see how much this means to us as a fan base, because it does. It means more to us than it ever will to any Everton player, because we're the fans, we're the heart of the football club. We are the beat, we are the heartbeat, we are the constant, we are the reason this football club stays alive year in, year out. So, as I said yesterday, I really do hope that if the club are allowing players to listen to messages and read messages and whatever, I hope it's not just the generic, and as I said, nothing wrong with this, but I hope they go a little bit more than the generic, good luck today, give everything, work hard. I hope they actually throw a few messages in which will hit home, and which will make the players go, actually, do you know what, fucking hell, we've got to give everything here, because, we can't. You've just seen a video of a grown man or woman crying their eyes out because they're worried about the situation Everton in, or a 10-year-old kid who's worried about, I don't know, having his mates joke at him in school. That might be a little bit too far, but you know what, you get what I mean, you get the circumstance. This has got to hit home. This has got to hit home to these players that we as fans, A, aren't accepting this, but B, are genuinely shitting ourselves day in, day out. I can't stop thinking about Everton. Even when Everton don't play, I can't stop thinking about Everton. It's part and part of the reasons why I think I've got something wrong with my mouth. I think I've got an infection caused by some form of stress, and it's Everton. Even when we don't play, you wake up and it's the first thing you think about, and it's the last thing you think about when we go to bed in these types of situations. Are we going to stay up? When's our next wing going to go? Are the players going to turn up on Thursday? Are they going to put a battle in? If they don't, then we'll be sitting there thinking, are we going to get through to the next round of the Cup on Sunday? This, that and the other. We simply can't stop. We can't stop thinking about it, and these players need to understand how much this means to us, how much this football club means to us fans, how emotional we are at the moment. And as I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, if those players listen to those emotional messages and they listen to messages of fans genuinely pouring their heart out about the importance of playing for Everton and working hard in that shirt and the importance of staying in this league for us, and they still go out and put a shithouse gutless performance in on Thursday, tomorrow, then I would literally rip every single one of their contracts up in front of the 40,000 Evertonians, because there's not a chance those players will listen to those messages and hear and see that emotion and then not give everything. They will. Nil SATIS NISI OPTIMUM, nothing but the best is good enough. For anybody that was watching the Meatball Molly documentary last night, if you don't know of Meatball Molly, she's a UFC fighter, mixed martial artist. She's actually fighting this Saturday in UFC London. Massive Evertonian. If you're on Twitter, you'll know Meatball Molly, massive Evertonian, UFC fighter. go first and foremost, go and support it on Saturday. If you're not doing anything Saturday night, I believe it's on BT Sport. I know not a lot of people like the UFC. I know it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, and that's fine. But she's one of us. She's a blue. She's a Scouser at heart. She's a lovely, lovely, lovely woman. She stands up for everything that's right. She's come through an awful lot, and she's boss. She's absolutely boss, Molly. So if you're not doing anything Saturday night, give her a fight to watch. Even if you just watch Molly and support Molly, then, you know, show her as much support as we can. But there was a documentary based on the life of Meatball Molly yesterday, and Everton featured quite a bit in it, and specifically the Merseyside derby this season featured in it, in terms of how she got up for the game and how we as Evertonians keep going back even though we're constantly disappointed. And she was asked in a press conference today, you know, she made a point of saying, listen, the club have apparently asked for messages from fans and supporters ahead of this game to get the players up. And look, I understand everybody on Twitter, by the way, and social media saying the players shouldn't need this. This shouldn't be a thing. The players shouldn't need, you know, their wages and their bonuses and stuff should get them up for the game. I get all of that. This shouldn't be happening because the players shouldn't need motivation from fans. They shouldn't need videos from fans. But let's be honest, they do. They do, don't they? In the same way as they shouldn't need 38,000, 40,000 Evertonians getting behind them week in, week out, but they do. Whether they should or they shouldn't, they do, and that's the reality of the situation, and the players need these messages, clearly. Molly said, what I would say is, if you watch the documentary, you will see how much this football club means to me, and I think she said it means as much to me as representing my city when I'm fighting does, and you can clearly tell that representing the city of Liverpool means everything to Molly when she's fighting, as does Everton Football Club. And she said, if I could say one thing to these Everton players ahead of tomorrow's game, it's read the motto that is on your crest. Nil SATIS, NISI, OPTIMUM, which translates to nothing but the best is good enough. Now go and fucking show it. And that, and I could pretty much end this preview on that, really, because I'm sort of sick of coming here doing these previews, be it to Newcastle away, be it to Newcastle at home, be it to Wolves, be it to Tottenham, and saying the same sort of stuff. We need to see 110%. We need to see a battling performance. We need a reaction. We need the players to go out and give absolutely everything. We need this, we need that, because we never see it. We never see it, and I might be sitting here tomorrow night doing an instant match reaction saying another shithouse, gutless performance, another defeat, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully I'm not. Hopefully I'm sitting here having a bit more of a positive reaction, i.e. like I was post-Leeds. But I could leave it there. And I completely agree with Molly. If I was to say one thing to these Everton players tomorrow, it's leave absolutely everything out there. And if you don't leave absolutely everything out there, don't bother turning up on Monday or Friday, whenever it is. Fuck Sunday off. We'll just cancel it and give Palace the buy into the next round, and we'll just may as well give up now. What's the point in playing the last 11 games of the season if this one, which is arguably the most important against a team that we are very beatable, by the way. I made a point post Wolves, even in the preview to Wolves, of saying that Wolves are a good side, and Wolves are a good side, and I made a point of saying that you know, I didn't really agree with this whole we're brilliant at home and we're just, by the way, I said we're not very good at home, we're not very good away, and when we come up against a decent side at home, we could be showing up, and that's exactly what we were. We were showing up against a decent side at Goodison. Wolves are a much, much better team than Newcastle. Newcastle are a very, very beatable team. They've been on some good form. They've won a few games recently, and they're riding this wave of confidence. They have one big defeat, and we can give them that one big defeat tomorrow if we get on top of them. If the players give everything from minute 1 to minute 90, and the fans give everything from minute 1 to minute 90, we could comfortably come away with a big win tomorrow. And I know this might come back to bite me on the arse, and there might be, however many Newcastle fans in here who come back tomorrow and say, that worked for you, didn't it? Why? But it's true. If Everton turn up and apply themselves in the right manner and give everything tomorrow, we could absolutely embarrass Newcastle, because of the quality that we have, and because of Newcastle's recent, let's not forget, okay, they've been good in the last couple of months, but earlier on in the season, they were a disgrace. They were losing left, right and centre. They couldn't string a pass together. So this is still that same Newcastle team, with the exception of a couple of added players. So this is a very winnable game, and I'm not saying Wolves wasn't winnable, but Wolves was a game against a good side, a side that played good football, a side that are fighting for Europe, a much better team than what Everton are, and I don't think Newcastle are a much better team than what Everton are. So it's up to these players tomorrow to go out and to put a performance in. It's up to these players tomorrow to go out and to show us why they deserve to play for Everton Football Club, and I don't know what videos are going to be shown to them. I don't know what messages are going to be given to them. I don't know if the club will share those videos. I don't know if the club will share those messages. I don't know if the club will share the reactions of the players. Probably not, because I'm sure that that's something that will be kept private. But as I said, show them Meatball Molly's message, not to antagonise them, not to try and back them into a corner, not to try and, what's the word I'm looking for? Not to try and, scare them or whatever, but to make them understand what this means to us as fans. And the bare minimum, by the way, is 150%. It's the bare minimum. We're not sitting here. Molly isn't sitting there saying, go out and beat them 16-0. And the players are sitting there going, bloody hell, well, we haven't got the quality to do that, or we haven't got the players fit, or we haven't got this, or how are we going to do that? We don't know how to, do this, we don't know how to do that. We're not sitting here as fans saying, go out and beat them 7-0. Yes, we are, because that's what we want to see. But all as we're expecting tomorrow is 115% from every single one of those players. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We can sit here all we like and talk about how we're not Manchester City, or we're not Liverpool, or we haven't got the quality to be Manchester City, or we haven't got the quality to be Liverpool, or we haven't got the players, or we haven't got this, or we haven't got that. One thing that those two teams, and they're the best, the reason I mention them is because they're the best two teams in the league, whether we like it or not. One thing that those two teams have in common is their players give 110% every single time they're on that pitch. Now, that is something that these players, as in Everton's players, have got no excuse to not give. We've got an excuse to not have as better of a forward line as Man City, or as better of a defence as Liverpool, or as better of a this or that, the other. We haven't got an excuse for our players to not work as hard as theirs do. It's as simple as that. Tomorrow is the same. Is the absolute same. We have to give everything. We absolutely have to give everything. There's a couple of Newcastle fans in here, which is interesting, really interesting. What quality your team is, Sajic? We are Sajic. We absolutely are Sajic. I get it. I mean, I get why you're in here, because it's a Newcastle preview, but mad that you're doing well and feel the need to come and tell us how Sajic we are. I mean, your club's tiny, but there you go. Yeah, listen, as I said, it's on Everton tomorrow, and Newcastle fans are going to be in here all happy and happy as Larry, because they've just had a 11 game spell without dropping a single point, and they're out of a relegation zone in which they were certain to go down, absolutely certain to go down 4 months ago, and now they're very much as safe as can be. Really, there's still a possibility they get dragged back into it, and with a defeat at Goodison Park tomorrow, that could become a bit of a realisation for Newcastle fans. But why wouldn't they be happy? Why wouldn't they be all, why wouldn't their emotions be high? Why wouldn't they be absolutely loving life? And rightly so. If it was, as I said, if it was flipped and Everton were, rock bottom of the league and struggling to win games and not picking up points with Steve Bruce's manager 3 or 4 months ago, and, all of a sudden, what feels like that, you've got new investment, you've got players in there that are doing well, scoring goals, working hard, and you're out of that situation with a new manager, you are going to feel on top of the world, of course you are. So fair play to those Newcastle fans for having that attitude. Fair play for those Newcastle fans for feeling like that, because I would as well as an Evertonian. But the reality is, it's on Everton tomorrow. Newcastle can turn up and give what they want. Newcastle can turn up and do what they want. It's about Everton. And Everton have got to turn up, and Everton have got to give everything. And as Molly said, and as I'm sure those fans that are giving messages for the players will say, that nothing but the best is good enough. And we have to go out and prove that tomorrow. We do. We're playing against a team that are high in confidence. We're low in confidence. We're playing it after a shocking defeat. Not shocking in terms of the fact I was shocked we lost, but shocking in terms of the performance was absolutely dreadful. Defeat to Wolves on Sunday. And these players have got to rectify that. These players have got to go out and they've got to make that right. And the reality is, if we don't win this game, and well, for me, pardon me, for me it's a win. It's got to be a win. A win is the only acceptable outcome from tomorrow. But if we don't win and we lose, then we are seriously in deep shit. Seriously in deep shit, because this is one of the games that you looked at 4 or 5 weeks ago when we were talking about getting out of this situation, and we all sort of said, right, we'll win that one. Now, I know there's been other games that we looked at and said we'll win and we haven't won and we've ended up losing, which is fine. But, you know, as I said, this could be a catalyst, because if we win this, we could build some confidence and go on and you know, we are due and you know, a run of form, aren't we? We haven't had a run of form this season. We haven't had a run of 3, 4, 5 games without dropping a point or whatever, or without losing. But if we lose it, then, you know, for me, losing isn't an option. Losing simply, and that's what the mentality of these players should be. I think the mentality of these players far too often has been losing is not only the option, it's the probability, and that's why you see, as soon as we go 1-0 down against Wolves, that's why you see heads drop and players almost just sort of accept their fate. Whereas if we go 1-0 down tomorrow, I want to see a mentality of no, losing isn't an option. We don't lose. We're not losing. We're getting back into this game. We're dragging a result out of this game. It's as simple as that. We're fighting for our lives. I want to see some fight within a relegation battle, and we're not showing any fight whatsoever. We've got to see that fight. We've simply got to see that fight. And for me, I don't think these players have got any other choice but to do that tomorrow, when we as fans have got to make Goodison lively. And I know it's hard because of the anxiety and the worry about the football club at the moment, and also because we're not seeing anything from the players to warrant us getting behind them and singing and screaming and shouting and etc, etc. But the reality of the situation is that we've got to do that, because we know these players need that, and we know these players can't perform without that. And that's why the club are showing them messages, and that's why the club are showing them videos and you know, texts and whatever else from fans, because in an attempt to try and get them rallied up for the game. And they shouldn't need it. I agree with everybody saying they shouldn't need it. But they do. But the reality of the situation is they do. I shouldn't need to take ibuprofen every 4 hours because my mouth feels like I've been punched in the face by a grizzly bear 356 times while being sat on by Anthony Joshua. But I do, because my mouth's absolutely killing. Probably should have said punched in the face by Anthony Joshua being sat on by a grizzly bear. That would have made more sense. But anyway, I do, because that's the situation. My mouth's killing. These players shouldn't need fans, videos and messages, and they shouldn't need 40,000 Blues standing up and screaming for them to put a performance in, but they do. And that's the situation that we're in, and we can't change that now. So we've just got to hope that we've just got to go out and do it, and hope that the players can perform, and hope that we can get out of this situation. And then in the summer, you look and you reassess. You look and you take a number of these players out the team, and you say thanks for your time, but you're not good enough, and you're just not going to work for Everton anymore. But the reality is we can't do that until the summer. And the reality is, in order for us to stay in the Premier League, we need to put those performances in now. We need to get those results now, because the summer will be too late. We'll either be down, or we'll be safe by then. So massively important game, absolutely massively important game, and one that for me we just have to win. We just have to win. We certainly can't lose, but it's not a can't lose game. It's a must win. It is a must win as any, really, isn't it? The don't lose has gone out the window. It really has. It's an absolute must win, and yeah, let's hope that we can. Let's have a little look at Newcastle's form, specifically since that game at St James's Park against Everton, because prior to that game they were picking up a couple of decent results here and there. They won away at Leeds the week before, or a couple of weeks before that game against Everton, and that was their first, I think, sort of real big result since being taken over. They beat Everton 3-1 at St James's Park. We know that. We don't need to sit here and discuss that overly. And then since then, a win against Aston Villa at St James's Park, a draw away against West Ham, which is a good result, a 2-0 win away to Brentford, a 2-1 win at home to Brighton, a 2-1 win away to Southampton, which was a massive result, and a 1-0 loss to Newcastle. So since that game against Everton, they'd gone 5 games without dropping points, and they'd won the majority of those games, barring the game against West Ham, of course. And even prior to the game against Everton, they drew with Watford, they'd beaten Leeds, and in the league they drew with Man United as well. So their confidence at the moment is flying, and look what 5 results does for you. Look what 4 wins and a draw does for you. All of a sudden, they've gone from being in the relegation zone and looking set to go down to sitting 14th. As I said, 9 points above the relegation zone and fairly safe for them. I know I said that they could get back into it, but for them to go down now would be an absolute disaster. And that's what a couple of good results can do for you. That's what a couple of, that's what a little bit of good form, that's what a couple of, good performances and a little run together can do for you. It can get you out of that situation. It can get you out of being in that situation, and that's the motivation that this Everton team should take. Go out there and get 3 points tomorrow, and then, again, use that confidence. And that's something that we've failed to do since Frank Lampard has come in. With whenever we've gotten results, whether it be Brentford, whether it be Leeds, whether it be even Boreham Wood, we've failed to capitalise on any sort of confidence we might have got from that. We should have done it against Leeds, Premier League win, first win since September or whatever it was, in the Premier League. We should have been able to capitalise on that, and we didn't. We went out the next week and we lost embarrassingly. Hopefully, if we get a win tomorrow, that isn't the case, and hopefully we are able to capitalise on it, and hopefully we are able to turn in a bit of good form, because that's exactly what we need. We know the players that Newcastle possess. We know the likes of Alan St-Maximin, who was very lethal in that game at St James's Park a couple of months back. Again, somebody we're going to have to keep an eye on, somebody we're going to have to monitor thoroughly throughout this game. Kieran Trippier, Chris Wood, of course. Trippier, I think, is still out. Chris Wood, Dan Burn, of course, who come in from Brighton. Again, another one of their signings. Joe Linton. Obviously, they've got John Joe Shelvey, Joe Willock, Matt Target. I'm not too sure on the fitness of Joe Linton and Shelvey, and I'm not too sure on the fitness of Callum Wilson as well, and whether or not he is back. I'm sure one of the many Newcastle fans that are in here trying to wind people up will let us know. But again, they've got a squad of players that will work and will battle and will show that desire, and I have a belief in Eddie Howe and what Eddie Howe is doing, and Eddie Howe's tactics and Eddie Howe's way of playing. They've got a fan base who believe in the manager. They've got they've got, as I said, they've got a playing squad who believe in the manager, and they've got a manager who is setting them up to get results and put performances in, and that is everything that you need to get out of a situation. That's everything you need to get out of a relegation battle, and that almost seems like everything Everton haven't got. We don't seem to have a playing squad that believe in the manager, despite the fact the manager's only just come into the club. We don't seem to have a fan base that we haven't got a fan base that are particularly confident that will stay up, or I've got a particularly good feeling around them. But again, as I said, that could all change, and I'm trying to be as positive as possible, because what's the point in us sitting here doing a preview saying, oh, we're going to get battered, we're going to get absolutely battered, and there's not even a point in us even watching. If we get battered, I'll sit here and go, we got absolutely battered there, what a shambles. But whilst we're previewing a game and whilst we're talking about a game, we may as well be as positive as possible. And as I said, Eddie Howe come into Newcastle, and in the first couple of weeks, he wasn't winning games. He was losing. The players really seeming to buy into it, and there was a lot of discussion. I remember I watched Talksport every morning. There was a lot of discussion. Is Eddie Howe the right man for the job? Was he the right appointment? Blah blah blah. Again, a couple of months later, he's the best manager in the world, according to some fans. And that could be the same for Everton. All it needs is a bit of hard work, a bit of persistence, and the players buying into Frank Lampard's system. And as I said on yesterday, when we done the review to the Wolves game, not only players buying into the system, but players persisting with the system. Players not getting bored after 15 minutes and then going, oh, well, I can't be arsed anymore. Not players turning up and Brian says, sounds like you wish. I don't wish I was a Geordie, mate. I don't wish I was anything more than what I am. I don't. What I said is I'd love to be in the position of Newcastle as an Everton fan, but I don't wish I was a Geordie. I don't wish I was anything other than an Evertonian with a sore mouth. And yeah, as I said, these players need to stick to a game plan. I think Lampard ultimately has to set them up to be able to counter Newcastle. I think 3 in midfield is the way to go, with Alan sitting deep and Van der Beek and Zakore, who weren't particularly good against Wolves, I understand that, but sitting in front of them. He's got to go with a 4 at the back. I would have Nathan Patterson in there, but I don't think he will. We'll go through our predicted starting 11 in a moment. But yeah, as I said, this is a massive game. This is definitely, I think, Frank Lampard's biggest game as an Everton manager. Most important game as Everton manager so far. And he's got to be able to go out and motivate this team and set this team up to get a result. He has had his pre-game press conference today. He said that Yerry Mina is still a number of weeks away from being back to fitness, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be assessed after being out with an illness over the last couple of days. He actually missed the game against Wolves with an illness, as did Nathan Patterson and Jared Branthwaite, according to the Everton manager. So hopefully those three will be back within the matchday squad. Again, Frank Lampard spoke about Nathan Patterson, which was interesting. He didn't necessarily sound confident that he was going to start, but what I would say is that Frank Lampard spoke very similarly about Nathan Patterson before the game against Boreham Wood, and then he ended up starting the game against Boreham Wood. Now, obviously, look, very, very different situation, very, very different position that Everton are in. That was an FA Cup game against a Sunday League team. This is a Premier League game in which we absolutely have to win. But he said about Nathan Patterson, he said he's one for the now and one for the future. He has to stay patient, keep working, and I'll find the right time to put him in the team. So it doesn't necessarily sound like Nathan Patterson is going to play tomorrow. However, as I said, you never know. You absolutely never know. Again, that could be Frank Lampard just trying to throw the scent off, trying to throw the idea off, and we may see Nathan Patterson's name in the first team, at 7 o'clock tomorrow when the team news comes out. Listen, at the end of the day, he's not going to come out and say, he's done it a couple of times, Frank Lampard, where he's been asked about a certain player, and he said, yeah, they're starting. But then he's been asked about another player and he hasn't said it. He done it with Newcastle. He was with Boreham Wood. He was asked about Mikalenko. He said, yeah, he's starting. He's going to captain the team. And then he was asked about Patterson and he didn't say it. And a lot of people went, oh, that means he's not starting. Well, no, what that means is he's not going to give the team out. He'll give you one player, but he's not going to sit there and name the players that are playing 24 hours before the game. But let's be honest, it's very unlikely Nathan Patterson will start this game. Very, very unlikely, although he should. Because he can't be any worse than Seamus Coleman or John Joe Kenny's suspended now, so he can't be any worse than Seamus Coleman. And B, again, if this is going to be a game where the crowd are going to be up for it, where the fans are going to be up for it, where the players have got to be up for it, then I think Nathan Patterson could really thrive off of that. Anyway, we are going to get into our predicted starting 11, but let's get into the live comments first. Loads of Newcastle fans in the comments. Listen, I hope you're all having a boss Wednesday. I hope you're all sitting there, doing whatever you're doing, having a boss Wednesday, coming in and saying you're going down, isn't going to wind me up, mate. I'm an Evertonian. I'm 23 years old. I've seen nothing but mediocre shite for 23 years. I've got a sore mouth. I've been in work. I'm tired. I need a scran. I want to go to bed. I need a bath. I've got to go out and play footy in the freezing cold in about 15, 20 minutes or so. So you coming in and saying you're going down, isn't going to get to me, fella. So you may as well stop wasting your time and wasting my time, because I'm not asked. I'm honestly not asked. But if you're enjoying and you're watching, leave a like, because that's absolutely sound. Because if you leave a like, that's boss for us. If you subscribe, that's boss for us as well. I know most of you will probably dislike, because you seem to think I'm asked about that. I'm not asked about that either. But if you're here, you may as well leave a like. Glenn says, hurry up, Cam. What's happening, Glenn? Jake says, what are you thinking about sitting in the new stadium, mate? I'm going main stand. I haven't really given it any thought, to be honest with you, mate. I haven't given it any thought. Lampard gives Calvert-Lewin a Mina update. Even in my fellow Blues, says Philip. Instant match reaction, punch of shit out Cutlass. Maybe, but hopefully not. Hopefully, it's a different tone to the instant match reaction. Hopefully, it's different. It's a different way of speaking. Hopefully we can sit here and talk positively. Let's just say that. Hopefully we can sit here and talk positively tomorrow evening. Hi Kev, says Phil, how many games in hand do we have? 3, I believe, on Burnley. I'm not too sure on the rest. Let me just double check that for you. So at the current time of recording, we have 3 games in hand on Watford, 1 on Burnley, and 3 on Norwich. Watford are joint points with Everton now on 22, Burnley are on 21, Norwich on 17. So Leeds on 26. So even if we win tomorrow, we still stay in the position that we're in. But obviously it will be a massive 3 points, and a massive 3 points that we need. Everton players listen to fans' messages for tonight's game. Tonight's game? It's not tonight's game. Go anything. Give anything a go at this stage. Yeah, Cam sounds like shit. Get yourself to bed. Say, I'm gonna go and play football, and then I've got another video to do with a Newcastle fan, and then I'll be going to bed. But listen, I've not got a dentist appointment till Monday anyway, so there's not much I can do. But then I will rest up. I will be resting up. I might ask Kieran if he fancies doing either the review or the preview on Friday to either this game or the preview to Palace, because I'm not really sure my mouth will be able to go through 2 video or 2 streams in one day. Surely Batson starts ahead of Coleman to deal with St. Maximin's pace. I would hope so, but I doubt it. We'll win tomorrow under the lights. We'll be all right, says Neil. Cheers, says Philip. Can't see him start, and you can't see in the press conference that Lampard doesn't hold him highly. Yeah, but I think it's more to just do with the fact that it's more to do with the fact that I just don't think he's ready. But if we had a top class right back there, then I'd be going fair enough. But we haven't got a top class right back, have we? And Glenn says, when you're not feeling well, what's your favourite scran? Hang on a minute. To be honest, today I'm going to be having a pasta. I can't really open my mouth because the problem is with my mouth. So it will probably be a pasta today. But my favourite scan is pizza any day of the week, whether I'm well or whether I'm not well. That's just my favourite scan. It is what it is. It is what it is. Tell him Cam Lad says it's Tony Mack is right. I like Cam though, one of the better YouTube channels, not just there for the preview. Cheers, mate. I appreciate that, Guybrush. Looks like you could do with some scran skinny. That's not very nice, Paul. That's not, if that was roles reversed, then I said looks like somebody could do with less scran, fatty. That wouldn't be acceptable, would it? So that's not very nice, mate. But I could do with some scran because my mouth's killing, so I can't really eat much. So yeah, you're right. Anyway, let's get into the predicted starting 11. We'll fly through this before we finish the live stream. In goal, I'm going for Jordan Pickford. Yeah, self-explanatory, really. Didn't really do much wrong against Wolves. I thought his distribution was okay. And he's the number 1 goalkeeper, so the less said about that, the better. Left back, now, a part of me, if everybody was fit, would go with Godfrey. But everybody, i.e. Yerry Mina, isn't fit. So therefore, I'm going to go with Mykolenko at left back. I think he was not very good, to say the least, on Sunday. He struggled to deal with his position. He struggled to deal with pace. He struggled to deal with the energy of that Wolves team. But the reality is he will only get better by playing. He's only going to get better by experience. He's only going to get better by continuing being given those opportunities. And the reality is, he's our only left back. John Joe Kenny's out suspended now, so any shout of John Joe Kenny to start is null because he's suspended. And as I said, hopefully if the crowd gets behind the team and Goodison's lively, hopefully Mykolenko will be able to feed off of that himself. And hopefully we'll be able to see a more improved performance than the one that we saw on Sunday, because he wasn't great on Sunday. Centre-backs then, I am going for Ben Godfrey, and I think it's going to be Mason Holgate, isn't it? Now, a big part of me would want it to be Jared Branthwaite, but how likely is the manager to go with Branthwaite and Godfrey? Very, very unlikely. I thought Godfrey played well on Sunday, to be honest with you. Yes, he was at fault for the goal. Yes, it was his positioning. Yes, it was his, it was his man that he lost. But I think other than that, I think he done okay. I think he played relatively well. Holgate next to him, again, maybe scared to take a bit of responsibility, maybe scared to take a risk. But we haven't got many other options, have we? Michael Keane still wouldn't be getting near the team for me, and Yerry Mina's out injured, so there you go. And then right back, listen, who I want to play there is Nathan Patterson. Who I think will play there is Seamus Coleman. I don't think Seamus Coleman should be starting games of football for Everton. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've made it abundantly clear I don't think he's good enough anymore. And I think having Nathan Patterson in there, a young lad with a point to prove, with pace, with desire, with energy, would be able to keep up with somebody like a St. Maximum, would have a better and easier job at dealing with St. Maximum than Seamus Coleman would. I think that's just the right decision. But how likely is Frank Lampard to go with that decision? For me, Very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. So I'm actually going to go with Seamus Coleman, because I think he's more likely to go with Seamus Coleman, whether you agree or whether you don't agree. But I would have Nathan Patterson in there 100%. Midfield 3, I'm going with Donny van der Beek, Alan as the sitter, Donny van der Beek, and Abdoulaye Doucouré. Again, I don't think Van der Beek and Doucouré were particularly great. In fact, I think it was maybe even the worst game Doucouré's played in an Everton shirt on Sunday, and not Donny van der Beek's greatest game either. However, I think they ultimately struggled with not having that other, that number 6 sat behind them, not having that player that sits in front of the defence and covers them behind them, rather than obviously having again, as opposed to having Alan in there, they had nobody there, so they were having to sort of do that role themselves. So I think the three of them in there, with Alan sitting in front of the defence, and then Van der Beek and Doucouré being able to move off each other, move the ball forward, get back and defend when need be. I think that is the right combination. And then front three, I'm going to go Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, and Richarlison again. Even if Dom is deemed fit and ready, I don't think he should be starting, because I just don't think we play in the style that suits Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he's been unwell recently, so I don't think he'll be at that optimum level of fitness. What I would say with the front three is, if we're not getting anything out of it by the 40th, 50th minute, or we're 1 or 2-0 down at that point, then the manager's got to change it. And I wouldn't have Dele Alli in there. I'd have El Ghazi on. I'd even have a Wolby on over, because at least there's a bit of directness, at least there's a bit of pace. Especially El Ghazi, he'd be coming on with a point to prove. He'd be coming on thinking, I've got to go out there and show why I deserve to be at this football club, why I'm actually of use at this football club, and they're the substitutions I'd make. But I would go with them three to start with. So there you go. That's my predicted starting 11 as to what Frank Lampard would go for. If you were to ask what I would prefer, as I said, I would prefer Nathan Patterson in there over Seamus Coleman. Maybe 2 strikers, that's maybe potentially a shout. Don't know how you would really go with it, with playing 3 in midfield and 2 up front. You would lose the wingers then, and you play a 5 at the back and have high wing backs. And if you're going to do that, you've got to play Patterson. You can't play Seamus Coleman. So I think we're less likely to see the 2 strikers. And if it was the 2 strikers, who would it be? Would it be Dom and Richie? Probably. They've had a good partnership before, but how would we work around that? We could say 4-4-2, but that hasn't worked recently, and just having the 2 midfield doesn't really work. So it's an interesting one. It'll be an interesting one, and we'll wait and see what Frank Lampard does and how Frank Lampard approaches this game. But for me, it's a must win. It's an absolute must win, and it's really, really important that Everton go out and put a performance in. As the title reads, as Meatball Molly said yesterday, nil SATIS, NISI, OPTIMUM, go and fucking show it. And that's the message I would give to these Everton players going into this one. We are going to finish it there then. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Sorry I couldn't get involved in all of the live comments. I've actually got to go and play football now. So that's the reason why. We will be live on Newcastle fan Steve's channel later. I'll leave the link to that video in the description when he sets it up and when we go live, so you can all come over and join us for that. We'll be back with the instant match reaction and the play ratings tomorrow. Score prediction, I'm going to go with 2-1 Everton. Big win, and hopefully we'll be able to push on from that point and actually get ourselves out of this shitstorm that we're in. But anyway, massive thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would mean a massive amount to me. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Get in, up the toffees. Come on, let's go out and get those 3 points. We really need them. Big thanks for watching. See you after.